Welcome to the NerdBrand Podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Jason, and that's Mitch. I'm pretty sure you're above me, or what's it look like for you?
I am next. I am adjacent to you.
Well,
I'm adjacent to Jason.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, see, for me, it's stacking it on the recording, which is nice because I was worried about the side by side, and I was just like, we look lonely. Yeah, we don't really have a guest today, and John Payne is on vacation. He's on a beach. He's
got his toes in the sand and a drink in his hand.
Yeah,
as the song goes.
Yeah, I really don't want to see a picture of his knees and then sand and beach. I hope he's not going to do that. A lot of ladies out there do that. They take pictures of their knees as they're looking at the beach. If a guy did that, you'd just see like some hairy knees and just be like, ugh.
I can't enjoy the beautiful ocean vista because of the hairy knees.
Yeah. So now everybody out there listening and watching this is like, thanks for that image burned into my head.
Are those sagebrush hills overlooking the ocean? Or, oh my God, that's somebody's knees.
Mitch, I know how your brain is like wired to creativity, but please do not do this for this conversation.
Word pictures, man. Word pictures.
Oh God. Anyway, so yeah, it's just the two of us. I know that's a song, but that's not what we're going with this. Everybody here's busy. We had a great time yesterday at the Business Expo. Thanks to the Chamber of St. Matthews. Had a lot of folks come up and visit us. Hi, buddy. If you're checking us out now and picked up one of the cards, it was really funny too because some people were like, "What's your all's theme?" And I'm like, "Nerd." Like, you brought like an Iron Man, Godzilla. We had like nerd sunglasses. Yeah, I mean, I think if we kind of went overboard with it, our brand would have gotten lost in the theme, and that sort of was the intention of why we did what we did. So
exactly.
Kind of wondering, yeah. Because I mean, like I said, the one idea I had was just like get a red pill and a blue pill. And just put it on the white tablecloth that we had, and then just kind of have like maybe Matrix code somewhere. But then another IT guy, he was there, and that's kind of was the theme of his whole shtick was, the Matrix. So, but you did a good job. I liked it. He actually had green like Christmas lights draped over a black tablecloth. It was kind of neat. It was pretty neat. But speaking of vacations, since that's the main topic, Mitch, what's your number one reason to go on vacation?
Because you got to get away, spend some time away. To get a fresh perspective, clear out all the junk, think about something else other than work for us at least a few days. And this is just speaking personally from my own perspective, your head gets so full after a while because you're not working. You know how it is, Jason. We're not just concentrating generally on one thing, even in the course of a day. We're jumping from thing to thing to thing to thing that needs to be done. And after a while, even when you turn that computer off and step away from it or go home or whatever it is you're doing, it's still kind of in there and you can't turn it off. I think that's especially true now that a lot of us are working from home. It used to be you pack up your belongings, you leave the office for the day and drive home. And sometimes that drive home was good because it was a little, depending on how far you commute, a little time to kind of decompress a little bit. But now work's always here. I mean, it's always in my head anyway. It's always running in my head to some degree or another.
Yeah.
But especially now that we work from home, I think it's vital to take time away from that so that your brain can kind of rest. It can calm down. The wheels can turn a little slower for a while. And just stop looking at it for a while, because after a while, everything starts to sort of bleed together. You lose your objectivity to some degree, I think.
Oh yeah. Big time.
And just as a general rule, you need to spend some time with your friends and your family.
Go outside.
Well, I mean, you know how the American psyche is. I mean, we're all workaholics. I mean,
yeah.
We're defined to a large degree by what we do for a living. It's how we are. It's what sort of defines a good percentage of who we are. But you also have friends. You have family that need you, that miss you, that want to see your face, that want to spend time with you.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking with some folks yesterday about movies, and typically when you go see a movie, you kind of just because I mean, obviously the theme of the expo was around that. When you go see a movie, you kind of go in there and you're just thinking like, "Oh, it's a good movie." You give it a little time to process it, really think about what you saw and some of the narratives. I mean, you're going to find that it was more than a good movie, and you're going to have more to talk about if you kind of understand movies and things like that. But going to the movies is sort of what does that for me. It's kind of like a vacation.
It's an escape.
It's the escape, and so that's something for me is that you need to escape. If you don't, it's kind of like what you said. You're just constantly looking at something, and you're just not going to see it a fresh perspective. You're too close. In web, I tell our web designer, Laura, all the time, and I've trained others, I'm like, if you spent 30 minutes on something and it's not working because of the code you're writing, take a break, step back for about an hour, go walk, go look at something, stare at a painting, and then come back. And it'll come to you. And sometimes that has to extend to like, just lay it down for today and come back later. Quite often in web, we kind of are like janitors, like we're working on something. But as we're working through something, we kind of glance over to the corner and we're like, oh, there's a dust pile. I can fix that on the way. And we do that. And that's kind of what you just said earlier. Like sometimes you're doing more than one thing. In web, we're always doing more than one thing. We're not working on one website, one project. We're working on 5 or 6. And so when we're along the way, we usually find messes. And those messes are usually a result of somebody just trying to get through, getting it done, and they didn't really mean to do it. And the more that happens, you can start to spot a breakdown in your processes. And that's sort of an indication, too, that it's time for maybe a vacation because you just keep making more messes than solving problems. And in web, we usually find them.
You're creating more problems than solutions. You need to step away.
Yeah.
Well, and, you also, from a creative perspective, whether you're a copywriter or a designer, you get so into it and you get so focused sometimes and you spend so much time with it. And you can tell when you're reaching that sort of burnout kind of level, when you want to find the solution, you want to solve the problem, you want to develop good creative, but it's just it's not coming. Yeah. You're stuck. There's a clog.
Like writer's block with
right.
Yeah, I think another good time to realize when it's time to get a vacation is like your temperament. When you don't have a great ability to control your patience, like your patience runs out quickly, or your.
What do you mean, Jason?
I don't know. Don't yell at me. It's not my fault. I was 6 in 1982.
Whatever that's got to do with it.
That's a random thing. I'm entitled to do random things and say them. Sometimes John will just pop off random things because his brain is like, and I'm like,
go Cubs.
What's that? Yeah, he's always like, go Cubs. I know when he's like, go Cubs, he's like, well, I'm moving on. Got to go do something. And I'm like, you're moving too fast. And then he'll say, okay, we'll Birdle derp later. And I'm like, well, Birdle what? So, my thing is like, I just forget about like pronunciation. I'm just like, you'll figure it out. You can ask me if you're like not clear, but I'm not even going to bother. I'm too tired. So I'm just going to be like, got it.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
Yeah. And so that's an indication that as well, that, it's time for vacation. Your communication skills start to break down either because your temperament's kind of breaking down or you're just wore out, stressed, that. So, it's a good indication when it's time to take one.
I think, in some degree, and this goes to vacation a little bit because some people like me, I try to take at least one book with me while I'm on vacation and try to, if not finish it, get most of it done. Mm-hmm. And that's a good way to focus on something completely, unless it's an informational book on like, agency function or graphic design or something like. I try to take something to read that's completely divorced from my day to day. I try to read something that's more, escapist. or historic or a biography, just something that's not related to what we do for a living.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to go on vacation. You don't have to go off somewhere to do that. If you take some time off, you can do that in your living room. You can do that, if you go camping in a tent somewhere or in a camper or something.
Yeah, I think it's harder to do that when you're working from home. It's harder to do the staycation because, and I think people are realizing that. I really do. I mean, I know quite a few people that are like, I'm going to do a staycation. I've known that for years, and I've done those for years. But when your office is like down the hall from the couch where the Netflix is, you're just, I guess the nostalgia or the feeling of that you went someplace to relax isn't there as much. And then when you return from it, you're not as rested as you could be. So,
well,
have you ever been on a cruise?
Yes, I have actually.
What was it like?
I enjoyed it. I mean, to me, one of my favorite things about it, we paid to eat in like we got one of the nicer dining packages.
Mm-hmm.
So every night was something different. With dinner was a different type of cuisine or something. I thoroughly enjoyed the dining. I mean, I enjoyed being out I love the ocean, so I love that anyway. And it was beautiful. But I loved every night. Dinner was something different. Sometimes it's stuff I hadn't had before, and the food in the dining in the dining rooms was just amazing. And then if you get hungry later, there's food all over the ship. There's food all over the ship. There's burgers. There's ice cream. You will not starve on a cruise. I mean, that's basically for a lot of people, that's the biggest draw is the food. But that was one of the things I enjoyed, the formal dining every night, because it was different every night. It was a little bit of an adventure, and everything tasted amazing.
Yeah. Did you use a vacation planner?
No, it was a family thing. It was with my wife and her sisters and my brothers-in-law and sisters-in-law. They put their heads together and planned it through Carnival.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And it was, I mean, I know a lot of people, cruises get a bad rap these days because it seems like every so often you hear about a cruise ship that suddenly comes down with some kind of plague.
Yeah. Well, I think that aside from that, I mean, I couldn't imagine like booking a cruise without a planner. I mean, there's a planner that I know of. So if somebody's looking for that, I think it's Vacations by Tara.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah, Vacations by Tara, I believe, is the business name. Anyways, I know her. She's in the leads group that I'm in at the Chamber. She told a story that was this couple was a younger couple about my age, and they liked music. So, but most of the music cruises, I think she was saying, are like for older people. And so it was sort of like by that demographic of age, you're like, there's not a lot, But they loved music so much that she actually booked them on that because of the type of shows that were there and the performances. And regardless of the age demographic, they came back and they freaking loved the vacation that was planned because of the entertainment. Because that's the other thing about cruises is the entertainment. And so, I don't know if I could do it without somebody planning it for me. But then the other thing that I don't know much about is like, you got to have a passport and get off the boat. And I've always got
you do now.
Yeah, but I've always got this. You didn't have to before?
No, this was right before they enacted the passport rule, because we went on a Mexican cruise, and at the time you didn't have to have a passport, just like you didn't have to have a passport to go to Canada because they border us. So we were fortunate in that respect, but now you have to have a passport.
Yeah.
Either way.
Well, and that's fine. I mean, if I went on a cruise, I would probably do overseas. I'd do Mediterranean or something. I would always be fascinated to like do that, not necessarily like up and down the Caribbean or something. That's just me. Because if I got on a cruise ship and it's like on the Caribbean, guarantee you the way my dumb brain works, I'm going to be sitting there and in my head it's going to be I'm not going to finish it because YouTube will like mute the freaking show, but it's Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, okay. I wonder where this was going.
I'll have that tune in my head and just be walking around like, what? And then people look at me like, what is wrong with him? And I was like, well, this is what a single adult looks like on a cruise ship. This one anyway.
I mean, we did see one show while we were there, and I'm sitting here and I'm trying to think, well, I don't remember what it was. The
Hmm.
only thing I remembered from that evening was they had people walking around taking drink orders, and it was
Mhm.
a huge showroom, like what you go, like when you go into like a venue here in town or something. It was that big and with that
Yeah.
many seats, but they were coming around, they were taking drink orders, and I don't know what I thought I was ordering, but
Oh, tons of stories.
I ended up ordering a Manhattan,
Uh-huh. Okay.
and I discovered that I don't really like Manhattans.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, me and liquor drinks, alcohol, it's just not my thing. I don't like the taste of it. I know a lot of people, especially when you live in Louisville, people are like, "What?" Um, but no, that's just me. I've got like a monster sweet tooth. And so I don't like anything that has that. Like, I expect Listerine when I use mouthwash to taste that way. I don't expect that in a drink that I'm going to swallow. And that's just the way my brain works. I'm weird that way. So I've
Say,
always,
my mom says, Amy, we'll have her try, she's a teetotaler, but we'll give her a beverage to try just because she'll say, let me try that. Let me try that. Everything to her tastes like beer. We give her a sip of wine. Tastes like beer.
yeah,
It's everything tastes like beer. And I'm just
yeah,
like,
that's me. Except I know like beer and other spirits, they all taste the same. Beer, I know beer because the hops and all that. I know that taste. And no, I don't like that either. I don't like bitter. I really have a strong aversion to bitter tasting stuff. So if you put something in front of me, it's why I don't, honestly, it's not that I have a great big problem with it. It's like with dark chocolate. I don't really partake in it because I'm like, I want the sugary sweetness of milk chocolate. And that's what I want. Just drown in that. But you're like, hey, dark chocolate's healthy for you. I'm like, no, I don't want it.
see, I prefer dark chocolate to milk chocolate. It wasn't always that. I wasn't always that way, but it was just what I guess maybe as your palate matures, maybe I don't know. But I like the richness of tasting the cocoa. You know what I mean? The richness of that flavor, the texture.
Yeah. Well, it's like,
I need something more than just sweet.
yeah. So if I go on a vacation, to stay on topic here, because we're about to wrap
Yes.
up. If I go on vacation, man, I've got to have something like it's probably a really bad idea for me to go on a cruise because I do like food. I mean, I could see myself in my my mom and dad are just basically hamburger steak people. They really are. And when I got out of the house, I mean, Mexican, Indian, I love Indian. Um, I have to probably specify, I think it's, is it South Indian or I can't remember. There's two different types of Indian food. There's like really spicy, burn your face off. And then there's like,
Yeah.
you won't
The
die.
curry based.
Yeah. So there's that. That's what I do. And then Chinese. I don't know it's American Chinese, not real Chinese, but I like that a lot. I've had Vietnamese and Korean. That's good. I've had Thai. I love that.
Vietnamese food's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thai food's good.
Yeah. Those places that I used to go to, they're closed and gone now. So it makes me sad. So if you know of one, leave a comment. You can find us on YouTube at NerdBrand. Leave a comment below. Say, hey, Jason, have you checked out this place in Louisville? And I will go and we'll talk about it on the next show. See how I did the plug?
Yeah, do that. Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
also, if folks want to give us some vacation recommendations or maybe different kinds of vacations that they've taken that maybe are something a little different than a cruise or just going to Destin or going to Disney World. I like to see what other people like to do when they take time off to kind of get away and refresh themselves.
Yes. And I know a person. I got a person. She'll hook you up. I'll give her your information, and she's the one that told the story that I just relayed, and she will make sure you have a fun time on your vacation. It actually is tailored to you and your personality, so you'd be surprised how affordable that actually is. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to the NerdBrand Podcast. You can check us out all over the internets at NerdBrand Agency. You can go to YouTube, search for NerdBrand, find us, listen to this podcast, watch Mitch and I.
Ring the bell.
Yeah, click the bell to get the latest notifications on this episode when we put new episodes out, or go to nerdbrandagency.com/podcast. Every Friday at 11, you'll see a new show posted for video, or you can go to anchor.fm and subscribe to one of the many channels there, Google, Spotify. Oh gosh, just the list goes on for if you're an audiophile and you want to listen to us talk instead of watching us talk, which is cool. It's fine. audio's important. All right. Well, I think that's about it. So everybody remember out there, keep your nerd brand strong.